Welcome back. In this video, we're going to expand a little upon our Hello World program, and we will learn about variables and assignments. What I'd like to do is start a new project. So I've opened up Visual Studio. I'm going to click on New Project, Visual C++, Win32 Console App, and I'm just going to name this project Compute Area. Press OK, press Next, clear these check marks, and select Empty Project. I'm going to open up or create my main program. Let's create a new item. I right clicked. When I pressed on, let me go back. Right click on source files, click add, new item. Make sure C++ file is highlighted, and let's just call this main. We will add the program, and it will show up in our editor window. I'm going to add a few comments. Remember, the first thing we must do is include a library file. I'm going to include SIO stream, and I'm going to use namespace standard. I'm going to start my main program. It always has a return value of int main curly braces. The very last line of a program is return 0. Let me talk a little bit about white space in a program. It is always a good idea to include white space in a program. You see, I have the first line, and then I skipped a line. Then I have another line, and I skipped a line. What I'm doing here is I'm separating different groups. All my include files I really want to have together. In a program, you might have dozens of includes. Then using namespace standard, that's really a standalone type of a command. So I'm going to highlight that by putting that on its own line separated by blanks. And then I have my main program. So white space makes things more readable. I will show you white space in between commands itself. Like the white space here. I could add white space here if I wanted, but that really doesn't aid in readability. So the first thing we need to do when we compute an area is know the length and the width. I'm going to create what's known as a variable, and my variable is a floating point number, or as C would like to call it, a double. So I'm going to create a variable double length and width. And then of course I will call a variable called area. Now let's stop for a minute there. What I've done is I've created some variables here, here, and here. I've given them a type. That's what this is. It's a type. So let us look at what kind of types we can have. What I did here is I searched for C++ data types. Okay, I found this great source. This is always a good source to go to, www.c++.com. It's always a great resource. Well, if you click on that link and we scroll down here, we get our data types. Okay, in this class we will be most concerned with characters, chars, ints, right here, int. We also have long int and long int. Floating point types, we'll use double. We won't usually use float, we'll use double. Boolean values, and they can have a true or false only. We'll be using bools, and void we'll get into briefly. Now, what are variables? What I've done here is I've started a program in Excel to represent a simplistic view of the memory in a computer. If you consider this screen of cells in Microsoft Excel as all the memory in your computer, you have some memory that is reserved for the operating system, and I've highlighted that in red here and here. Now the operating system is going to use memory however it wants to use memory. It is not going to stack things up one right after another. It'll be haphazard like I've done here. So part of the operating system might be here and here. Then I have my programs. I have Internet Explorer that I've opened. Let's say I've opened Word that occupies this memory here. Here's Visual Studio. I've occupied that here. Let's say I have my compute area program. Compute area. And that's occupying this section of memory. Well, I've just created some variables, correct? Let's look at those variables. I think it's length, width, and area. So what's going to happen is one of these memory cells will be identified as length, one is width, and one is area. And they can be anywhere. Another thing about memory, Excel, it will always take the cross of the row and the column to determine the address. So what I've highlighted here can be seen up here in the top left. That's H10. That's where they intersect. Let's say we have a variable. Our variable is stored here. Well, that's just an address in a computer memory. But I want to call it length. So we can simulate that in Excel by changing the value of the memory address, 05. Let's change it to length, L-E-N-G-T-H. So length is actually here at 05. Okay, I'm just going to put a notation here just to say length. That's just to say that I have a variable right here, and let's make our variables orange so we can tell. Okay, so that's length. Let's say the compiler reserves the memory here for width. width. Let's make that orange. And we will create area right here at S13. The address S13 becomes a area. And let's again make that orange. Just for our benefit, we will write area here. So what is area? Area is length times height, right? LEN length, that's my variable. Length times not height, I have width. WID width. TH. Okay, right now it's 0. Now in our program, we're going to have to get the length. Let's say we get 6. And we also get the width. And we get these from the user. We get them from what's known as standard input. That's the keyboard. Let's say the width is 4. Our area becomes 24. Standard input is the keyboard. Standard output, that is the screen. So we would get length and width from standard input. We display to standard output the area of 24. So this is a simple representation of the memory in a computer. Mind you, memory can be anywhere. The operating system can reserve this area for the data of our source program. So we've declared some data for our program. We will stop at this point and continue on in the next video on running our program and doing some calculations. This concludes this video.